Thank you, Jai Kishan Prabhu. Let's join together in prayers, because with prayers only spiritual knowledge can descend. The knowledge of the outside world could be had through our senses and our intelligence, but the knowledge of the inner world, knowledge of the spiritual world is inaccessible to our senses, mind, intelligence. It is only accessible uh, by connecting to Krishna, to Guru, and so that's what we do with prayers, trying to connect all of us so that we can become receptacles of this eternal spiritual wisdom. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
So, of course, I was not there last week. I didn't have the good fortune of connecting with all of you guys with Rasikram from last week, but I did catch up with the video that was posted by my good friend Rishi. He was the host last week, and we discussed that how different people with different mindsets, they try to reduce the concept of God. Atheistic people, monotheistic people, polytheistic people, how they made sense of God. Some even the scientists, they name something by the term God particle. So everyone has their own definition of God and how there is someone superior. But we all have to come to this understanding that there is someone superior to us. May we call that a universe, may we call that God, or the Gita specifically states Bhagwan Shri Krishna. So taking our discussions from there, Prabhu, today we have an interesting topic at hand. And many may find this a little serious, so don't mind my light tone here to just set the mood a little light as I do. But I'll try to do as much possible as I can. I'll try to do justice to the questions and to the topic. So allow me, Prabhu, to ask my first question to you.
Yes,
my first question is, there's a lot of talk about death, life after death. That intrigues me to question, where were all of us before death? If there is something for life after death, there must be a place we all come from. So where were people before they were born? And what is your take on life after death, Prabhu? And when you say life after death, कई लोग बोलते हैं पुनर्जन्म, कई लोग बोलते हैं कि कोई नरक में जाएगा, कोई स्वर्ग में जाएगा, कोई कहाँ अलग अलग हिस्सों में बटेगा, कोई और कहीं जाएगा. So is there any way you can book your destination in advance? Any pre-booking is possible, advance booking. Can you please share your thoughts on this?
So you go to Make My Trip or Yatra, or even if you want a cheaper option, Goibobo can also help you to book a good destination online and for at cheaper rates.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my answer.
So now, Bro, now that really brings me to a fix whether I should use these sites anymore or not.
Okay. So anyhow, it's a very interesting question, and I hope all of us must have been intrigued by these thoughts, these ideas, that where were we before death, and if we were at all there somewhere, then even after death, we would go somewhere, and what would that place be? Can I know in advance? Can I make some arrangements so that I can be at the place of my choice? So these are certainly uh, very relevant questions of any intelligent person. And all of us are like spaceships, the spirit souls, and they are being transported from one place to another. Krishna says through the medium of the subtle body. The subtle body, one's desires, one's thoughts, one's uh, all of one's impressions, so the swabhav, it carries one from one body to the next. So we'll try to see, especially we have discussed in the second chapter of the Gita that spirit soul is eternal, that it cannot be cut by weapons, it cannot be drowned by water, it cannot be burned by fire, that it is aja. So then, knowing that the spirit soul, the essence of our existence, is eternal, beyond any boundaries or beyond any limitations of the physical body that we are in. We are conscious of the body that we are in, right? But we are not limited to the body. We are conscious of the body belongs to us, but we are using the body as a vehicle to fulfill our desires, right? So it is not that the body ends and our desires end. Even at the last moment of our life, at the moment of death, there are desires. So this body was a vehicle to fulfill our desires to a certain point. Now we go into the next vehicle. This vehicle left at a certain point in our journey, right? Then we take up the next vehicle. Now, how do we pre-book our next destination and the next vehicle? That's a question to be answered, and that the question will be answered by Krishna in the 8th chapter of the Gita. So all of us are, as I said, are like spaceships traveling from one place to another, and Krishna gives the orbit parameters. कोई भी spaceship रहता है या कोई satellite रहता है, उसके orbital parameters रहते हैं कि वो किस स्पीड से मूव करेगा, कौन सा उसका इलेक्ट्रिकल मोशन का जो डायमेंशन है वो कितना होगा, so that it can continue on its orbit. So Krishna gives, let me read out the verse of the 8th chapter where Arjuna is asking this question and Krishna is answering. The verse number 3 of the 8th chapter, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Aksharam Brahma Paramam Swabhavo Adhyatma Uchyate Bhuta Bhavad Bhavakaro Visarga Karma Samgitam. The indestructible transcendental living entity is called Brahman. So that is our identity. And his eternal nature is called Adhyatma. Action pertaining to the development of the material bodies of the living entity is called karma. So here Krishna is giving us the parameters by which decide how do we go from one place to another, one body to another, and what determines where do we go and which body do we receive. So basically Krishna says in this 8th chapter 7th verse, I guess, Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram ya prayati samad bhavam yati nasti atra samshaya yam vam vapi smaran bhavam tyajate ante kalevaram tam tam aiveti kaunte sadatad bhava bhavita. So whatever thoughts one cultivates at the time of death, one gets a body accordingly in the next life. One gets a destination as per one's subtle body, which is the psychic body. So matching to that psychic body, you get a physical body, right? So it's quite reasonable, logical कि अगर मेरे पास आईफोन है तो आईफोन में मुझे एप्पल का ही iOS डालना पड़ेगा, right? I cannot put Android in that. Or if I have an Android phone, I'll have to use an Android, operating system, right? Makes sense. So as per the operating system, the phone is determined, and as per the phone, the operating system is determined. So Krishna is telling us the kind of subtle body that you cultivate, the kind of makeup of mind you cultivate, accordingly you are given a physical body to fulfill your desires in the next life. So in medical terminology, there's a term called psychosomatic. Psyche means the mind, soma means the body. So even the medical science also confirms that there is this psychosomatic existence, and many diseases are said to be psychosomatic in nature. आपने सुना है, Jay Kishan, if anyone else has heard of any psychosomatic diseases?
Yes, yes, Prabhu.
Example?
I mean, I'm not sure of the medical term exactly, but is schizophrenia one of them? I'm not
Okay,
sure.
that is a psychic disease, but I'm saying psychosomatic means that वो disease का आपके mind से लेना देना है. It is not just a physical disease. उसका origin आपके मन से हो रहा है. So yes, Surya, thank you for sharing. Insomnia. Okay, depression. Yeah, depression also affects the physique, your physical body. It affects your sleep. There are other diseases such as asthma. If you read up medical literature, it says that asthma is a psychosomatic disease. It has something to do with your mind. It originates in the mind and then आपके physical self में वो reflect होता है. Right? You have certain thought patterns which trigger asthma. And similarly, psoriasis, skin का जो disease होता है psoriasis, वो भी psychosomatic है. तो मतलब आपके मन में जो थॉट्स आज चल रहे हैं वो आपकी इस बॉडी को अफेक्ट कर सकते हैं. आगे की तो हम बाद में बात करते हैं, बट आपके इस बॉडी में ट्रांसफॉर्मेशंस लेके आता है आपका थॉट्स, राइट? सो दैट शोज द पावर ऑफ आवर थॉट्स, द पावर ऑफ आवर माइंड, आवर साइकिक बॉडी. तो दिस फिजिकल बॉडी इज मेड अप ऑफ द फूड दैट वी ईट, right? So what is the psychic body made up of?
The thoughts you consume.
Exactly, the thoughts that we consume. So आप smart होते जा रहे हैं जय किशन.
Yeah,
so the thoughts that we consume every moment. Actually Daniel Kahneman करके एक Nobel Prize winning scientist है, उन्होंने एक concept निकाला है psychological present, that you can be with one thought for maximum 3 seconds, which is called a psychological present. तो आप एक thought के साथ on an average 3 सेकंड रह सकते हो. तो उसके हिसाब से कैलकुलेट करेंगे तो दिन में हमें 30,000 थॉट्स आते हैं. अभी तक कुछ समझ नहीं आया तो भी इसको समझ लो. तो हमारे दिमाग में, मन में दिन में 30,000 थॉट्स आते हैं, और ये 30,000 थॉट्स हम खाते हैं. वी कंज्यूम दोस 30,000 थॉट्स, एंड देन दैट like you can consider this as the food that we eat. The food for thought बोलते हैं ना, ये this is thought as food for the psychic body, and then accordingly हमारा bent of mind वैसा बन जाता है. If you are constantly brooding on negative thoughts, if you are constantly brooding on thoughts of envy and comparison, right, हमारा psych envy और comparison में oriented हो जाता है. If you are constantly having thoughts of anger or revenge, our mind becomes a sum total of those thoughts. So next time अगर कोई कुछ गलत करता है या आपके साथ कुछ गलत करता है तो you easily become upset. इसके लिए उसको बोलते हैं व्यक्ति को short tempered. Now why is a person called short tempered? Is because they have accepted a pattern of thoughts of anger and being upset and disturbed, right? So when you repeatedly accept a certain pattern of thoughts, that becomes your second nature. And then what happens when anger comes? Krishna says bewilderment of intelligence. And in the physical body also, जब गुस्सा आता है तो क्या होता है? आंखें लाल होने लगती है, या कोई व्यक्ति दुखी है बहुत तो आंखें लाल होती है, गुस्से में आंखें लाल होती है, हाथ फड़फड़ाते हैं, राइट, ब्रीदिंग फास्ट हो जाता है. So you see, our thoughts have the power to control and transform our body in this life. तो इसके लिए like each of these thoughts are like you know, जैसे एक sculpture बनाते हैं, you make a statue out of a block of stone. A block of marble से एक मूर्ति कैसे बनाई जाती है? हथौड़ी और छेना लेके, with a hammer and a chisel, you constantly hit and chip off the unwanted stone, and then धीरे धीरे क्या बनता है, एक मूर्ति बन जाती है. So similarly, all of these thoughts are shaping our personality. The kind of thoughts that we brood on, that we attract, right? They shape up our personality in terms of our psychology. And then based on that, Krishna says at the last moment of our life, we kind of live with those thoughts, with those kind of thought patterns. And accordingly, we are given a next life based on that. So even let me just drop in some science here. So there is in biochemistry, there's a concept where whenever we have certain emotions, those emotions in the mind are related to certain neurochemicals in the brain. If you are happy, there is certain melatonin neurochemical which is released. When you are upset, when you are disturbed, there is certain neurochemical. When you are excited, there's adrenaline which is released. And all of these neurochemicals, like neuropeptides which are released, they go and sit on the receptors of the cells. तो आपका जो भी cells है उसके ऊपर receptors लगे हैं to capture those neurotransmitters. So as if you are becoming angry too often, if you are becoming anxious too often, if you compare yourself and become insecure too often, then your cells become programmed with those kind of neurotransmitters. तो नेक्स्ट टाइम जब वो सेल वापस म्यूटेट होता है, रिप्रोड्यूस होता है, तो इट हैज मोर ऑफ रिसेप्टर्स फॉर दोस नेगेटिव न्यूरोट्रांसमिटर्स. इट हैज, और इफ यू आर हैविंग पॉजिटिव इमोशंस, इट हैज मोर ऑफ रिसेप्टर्स फॉर positive neurotransmitters. So eventually what happens is your body becomes programmed for negativity or positivity, for anxiety or confidence, for hope or for fear, for gratitude or for grudgingness. So we program our body and we program our mind even in this life, and our thoughts have the power to dictate our destination and the kind of body that we receive in the next life. And so therefore the Bhagavad Gita advises that we should meditate on the Lord all through our life, and even whatever we are doing, mam anusmara yuddhacha, we should, whatever activity we are doing, we should remember Krishna, know that we are doing it for the Lord, and at the time of death we will get the spiritual spaceship by which we can go back to the spiritual world. Otherwise, based on the kind of thoughts that we have cultivated, urdhvam gachanti sattvastha madhye tishtati rajasa jaganya gunavrastita tamo gachanti adho gachanti tamasa. Those who have cultivated thoughts in mode of ignorance, which means thoughts of illusion, thoughts of revenge, thoughts of depression, they will go down. Those who have cultivated thoughts of passion, they will stay on this planet Earth. And those who have cultivated thoughts of goodness, they will probably go to the Swarg Loka or Mahar Loka, Jana Loka. But those whose thoughts are situated in transcendence, they will go back to Krishna, never to return again. They will attain a spiritual nature. They will no longer need this crutch of a material body to fulfill their desires, because material desires need a material body. But if you transform your desires to spiritual desires, then you don't need a material body. You get a spiritual body, and then there's no death. So this is, so if you want to pre-book your future destination and the body, then work on the thoughts. And how do we work on the thoughts? By meditation, by spiritual, hearing spiritual literatures, discussing spiritual topics. This is, if we are taking in the right kind of knowledge, we will be able to cultivate the right kind of thoughts.
Okay. Prabhu, you made a very interesting point here where you said that most of many times what happens is your physical disturbances in your body might be due to your thoughts, the kind of thoughts you're consuming, the kind of mental, your mental health in short.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so unfortunate that most of the times you may seek an allopathic solution, an external solution, but the solution lies in fixing what happens between the ears. So yeah, I mean, this is hard hitting, but how true is this? I mean, if only maximum number of people could get this.
So what happens between the ears? Between the ears depends on what goes inside the ears. Okay, you helped me articulate it better. So what happens between these two ears? So whether these are negative thoughts or positive thoughts, whether these are thoughts of gratitude or grudge, whether they are thoughts of hope or fear, whether they are thoughts of anxiety or confidence, whether they are thoughts of humility or arrogance, they are dependent on what goes inside these ears. So we need to fix the knowledge or the information that we are taking, and accordingly, our mindset and our psychology changes.
But Prabhu, yes, you spoke about meditation, hearing and discussing literatures, and of course what goes inside the ears as part of positive. You surround yourself with positive things, but Prabhu, let's face this: we all are pleasure-seeking beings, and we just want to have fun, be happy, you know. Of course, the kind of happiness that we choose may be wrong, but we are pleasure-seeking beings in the end. So it takes me back to my college days. You know, there was this movie that was released back in the day by the name Student of the Year, just when I was to enter into college, and that gives such a rosy picture of what college would be, how the students would be, and everyone, you know, all the gym freaks, all models in college, and I thought this would be college, you know. And as when I took admission into college, I didn't find anyone like that, and I believed. I mean, I was wrongly believed. I was wrongly put into believing that I was in the wrong college. I should fix my college first. And the next 3 years were wasted just thinking that I was maybe in the wrong place with the wrong people. So the whole media, how things are designed is they always make you feel, you know, there is something lacking. If only you had more money, you could have enjoyed better. Only if you were in a different place, maybe in the United States, you could have enjoyed better. Maybe you had just this extra thing in your life, you could have done it better. So catch that bus, my friend. You are just one step away from catching that bus. But on the other hand, spiritual literatures keep reiterating the fact that pleasures of this world are not long lasting. Happiness of this world is not long lasting. Whom do we believe, and if anything has to be believed, how do we be convinced about the one fact from it?
Okay, interesting question, Jay Kishan, that on one hand, we have a certain experience, all of us have a certain experience of what is the promise and the delivery. What is promised out of a particular education, कि यार बस तू IIT कर ले तेरी लाइफ सेट हो जाएगी, या तू CA कर ले तेरी लाइफ सेट है भाई, मतलब ऐसा पैकेज लगेगा ना पूछ मत, तेरे चमचे होंगे अच्छे, मतलब काफी, you will have a lot of people working under you. So but what happened after you did your CA? You found yourself surrounded by other CAs. ठीक है, and then you have to compete with these set of CAs because CAs की तो कमी है नहीं. And then there's the same old कि मैं नीचे के रंग में कॉम्पीट कर रहा था, अभी इधर आके कॉम्पीट कर रहा हूँ, पहले कोई और टांग खींच रहा है, अभी कोई और टांग खींच रहा है. तो वी हैव सर्टेन एक्सपीरियंस, वेदर इट इज आवर करियर, even if you get to the C executive level, CEO, CXO, CO, they also have their same set of, they have a particular group, and among that group the same dynamics of politics, of competition, of insecurity, all of that circles around. तो ये हमारा एक एक्सपीरियंस है, चाहे करियर के क्षेत्र में हो, चाहे रिलेशनशिप के क्षेत्र में हो, कि भाई क्या है ना, मैंने वो पहली वाली के साथ में ये गलती कर दी थी, अगली वाली के साथ ये गलती नहीं करूंगा. ठीक है. तो और मीडिया कीप्स ऑन टेलिंग अस दैट द नेक्स्ट टाइम ट्राई इट वंस मोर, दिस टाइम विद दिस डिफरेंट टर्न, थोड़ा सा इस तरह से आप ट्राई करो एंड देन यू विल बी सक्सेसफुल. मे बी नॉट इन इंडिया, गो टू अमेरिका, अमेरिका नहीं उधर कनाडा जा, you will find the right set there. So if everyone agrees with this, कि ऐसा, this is the promise that we get is, okay, just try one more time, just try in a different way. Yes or no, we can have in the chat box. Does it sound familiar? And media is all about selling us hopes, selling us dreams, कि बस ऐसा करो, आपको you will be done, आपका लाइफ बन जाएगा. बस एक स्टेप आपने छोड़ दिया, वो एक स्टेप आप लेते हो तो आप बोलते अरे तो नहीं मिला अभी, बोले अरे एक और स्टेप लो यार, ये वाला स्टेप ले लो, फिर हो गया, योर लाइफ इज सेट. So now which whom do we believe? Krishna's version. Krishna says in this chapter, dukhalayam ashashvatam. So we believe Krishna's version or media version. So I'll tell you a story. Ready for a story?
Yes.
So this one boy called Tejas. तो तेजस के पापा उसको बोलते हैं, बेटा थोड़ा जूस पी रहा हूँ, मुझे ना फ्रिज में से एक बर्फ लेके आ जाए. तो तेजस लिविंग रूम से जाता है किचन में और बर्फ लेने के लिए जाता है. पापा ने बोला है बर्फ लेके आ जाओ, और वो किचन में गया तो था बर्फ लाने. पापा बोले यार 10 मिनट हो गया, आया नहीं वापस, क्या हो गया? तो पापा फिर उठ के गए. So Tejas' father went back to the kitchen to see what happened, and he saw Tejas looking at an ice cube and then keeping it back, then picking up another ice cube and then keeping it back. And the father said, "What are you doing, guy? मैं तुमको कब से बुलाया, मेरा जूस पीने का था, 10-15 मिनट हो गया. You are not brought that ice cube." So he said, नहीं नहीं पापा, मैं ला रहा था, लेकिन I found a defect. मैंने जैसे ही वो बर्फ के उसको निकाला बाहर और मैं आधा रास्ता आया तो देखा उसमें से पानी लीक हो रहा था. तो मुझे लगा कहीं तो कोई छेद रह गया, तो ये दिस इज अ डिफेक्टिव आइस क्यूब. सो आई वेंट बैक, केप्ट इट एंड ब्रॉट अनदर, पिक्ड अप अनदर. लेकिन जैसे मैं आधा रास्ता आया उसमें से भी पानी लीक होने लग गया. तो आपने तो पानी लाने थोड़ी ना बोला था, आपने तो बर्फ लाने बोला था. हाँ, तो फिर मैं प्रॉपर पीस लेके आ रहा था, 6 सिग्मा क्वालिटी का. सो देन द फादर सेड, बेटा ऐसा बर्फ में से पानी इसलिए लीक नहीं होता है कि उसमें छेद है. नहीं नहीं, मैं ढूंढ रहा हूँ पापा, कहीं तो एक छेद होगा जिसमें से पानी निकल रहा है. मैंने देखा है वो बॉटल में कहीं एक छेद रहता है ना, तो उससे पानी निकल जाता है, तो इसमें कहीं छेद होगा. तो पापा ने बोला कि बेटा दिस डजंट वर्क लाइक दिस. This ice cube is not leaking because it has a hole, because it has a HOLE hole. This ice cube is leaking because it's WHOLE, hole is water, right? So its nature is to leak. If you just bring it out into the ambient environment, उसका nature है, constitutional nature है उसका leak होना, constitutional nature है उसका melt होना. So it's not that ये होल है इसको मैं फिक्स कर दूं तो फिर इसमें से पानी नहीं निकलेगा. वो होल पे पट्टी लगा दो, दूसरा होल मिला उस पे पट्टी लगा दो, सब होल्स पे पट्टी लगा दो, बट द आइस इज सच दैट इट हैज टू मेल्ट. Sounds interesting so far, the story. So, what does it have to do with the question that you asked? The media is promising, the Bollywood is promising, Instagram is promising. Just plug this hole, and your life is set. You will, find the perfection of your life. तुम हिट हो जाओगे, तुम्हारे 1 million फॉलोअर्स हो जाएंगे, और बस ये चीजें, ये स्टेप्स फॉलो कर लो, एंड एवरीथिंग विल बी हंकी डोरी. So that's the promise of, they are selling us dreams, or as Bhavesh is saying, the promise of idealism. But then when we come to realism, the ice doesn't have holes. The hole of ice is a problem. The hole in the ice is not the problem. The hole of ice itself is a problem. And that is what Krishna is telling us. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. In this 8th chapter of the Gita, that if you come back to me, then only you can be bereft of all of this recurring miseries of birth, death, old age, disease, heartbreaks, heartburns, insecurities, attachments, fear. So all of these problems are not because there is something lacking in your life, which you can plug in terms of relationships, or in terms of career, in terms of money. But the nature of this material world is that dukkhalayam ashashvatam. So what does dukha alaya mean? It's a place of misery, just as pustakalaya means a place where you will get pustaka or books. A dukkhalaya is a place where you're supposed to get dukkha, right? So by design, this place is such that a spirit soul cannot be happy because it is a foreign environment, right? अगर आपको एक फॉरेन एनवायरनमेंट में रख दिया जाए, जैसे कि अगर if I bring a polar bear into the desert of Thar desert of Rajasthan, will it be happy? नहीं. उसका constitution ऐसा है that it is supposed to live on the snow-capped Himalayan mountains, or on the poles. उसका डिजाइन ऐसा है कि it will be happy there, but if you bring that polar bear to the Thar mountain, it will be miserable. Similarly, if you have a camel, and if you take that camel to the Himalayas, it will be miserable. So that shows us that the problem is not the hole in the ice, the ice itself. And the stubbornness of this material civilization is such that, do you know there is a hotel in Quebec, Canada? It is called the Hotel de Glace. So the Hotel de Glace का क्या speciality है? This hotel is made up of 50,000 tons of snow and 500 tons of ice. ये आइस का पूरा होटल बनाते हैं. यहाँ पे आइस के बेड्स होते हैं, आइस के दरवाजे होते हैं, आइस का कैबिनेट्स रहता है, सब कुछ आइस से बना होता है. फ्रॉम दिसंबर टू फरवरी 3 महीने तक वो होटल रहता है, उसके बाद पिघल के चला जाता है. The problem is that despite knowing the nature of ice, that it will melt, we are trying to create igloos of ice to palaces of ice, but it is all going to end. तो किसी के पास छोटा झोपड़ी है, but if he is trying to find pleasure and happiness in that झोपड़ी, और किसी के पास palace है, he is trying to find pleasure and happiness in just the palace, the material thing, he or she will be miserable because we are alien to this atmosphere. We belong to the spiritual world. Camel को आप हिमालय में लेके जाओ, और polar bear को आप Thar desert में लेके जाओ, they cannot be happy. So that's my take. Now choice is yours.
So, Prabhu, thank you for that answer, but I mean, the kid in me is screaming, Prabhu, कि ऐसा थोड़ी ना होता है. तो भगवान ने क्या ये दुनिया बनाते वक्त मैन्युफैक्चरिंग डिफेक्ट से बनाया था क्या? at one place we are made as pleasure seeking beings, and the other place you say this is dukkhalaya mashashvatam, where this is a place of misery. How can we make sense of this problem?
Okay. So, आप so अब now चलो इतना तो एक्सेप्ट किया कि ये प्लेस में ही डिजाइन में ही कुछ ऐसा है कि दिस इज अ प्लेस ऑफ सफरिंग. नाउ यू आर क्वेश्चनिंग द डिजाइनर. पहले तो पूछ रहे थे कि कुछ ना कुछ मेरी तरफ से कमी रह गई जिसकी वजह से प्रॉब्लम है. अभी आपने बोला कि नहीं नहीं मेरी वजह से नहीं है, ये डिजाइन में ही प्रॉब्लम है. चलो यू हैव गॉन वन स्टेप फर्दर. नाउ यू आर सेइंग कि अरे डिजाइन में प्रॉब्लम है तो शायद डिजाइनर में प्रॉब्लम होगा. सो डिजाइनर ने ही शायद गलत डिजाइन कर दिया. When we are pleasure seeking beings, why has he designed this world which is full of suffering? तो अभी डिजाइनर ने क्या डिजाइन किया है तो उसका डिजाइन का पर्पस पूछना पड़ेगा. What is the purpose for which the Lord has designed this world? The Lord has, so for example, what is the purpose of a hospital?
To get treated, patients to get treated.
Okay, so which means that आप उस हॉस्पिटल से बाहर आओगे तो आप उस हॉस्पिटल को अच्छा रेटिंग कब दोगे? Why is so you are cured of your disease, you will give a 5-star rating to the hospital, right, to the doctors. लेकिन आप कोई अगर ऐसा बोलेगा अरे यार उसमें स्विमिंग पूल था ही नहीं, कैसा हॉस्पिटल बनाया जी? हाँ, उसमें स्विमिंग पूल नहीं था, उसमें क्लब हाउस नहीं था. ये तो इतनी बड़ी बिल्डिंग बांधी है, एक क्लब हाउस तो होना चाहिए था ना, मतलब जाके थोड़ा एंटरटेनमेंट कराते, राइट? सो if we don't understand the purpose of the hospital, then we can use many logics कि यार इतनी बड़ी बिल्डिंग है, एक क्लब हाउस में इसका क्या जा रहा है, right? So we can use our logic, but then we need to ask the designer, why did he create the building? The building is meant to cure a disease. Just like the hospitals are meant designed to cure the material disease. Therefore, you have the OPDs where the patients come and meet the doctor. The doctor gives prescription. If the patient is serious, the patient is admitted. So there are economy ward. There is the deluxe ward. Then there are ICUs. तो अगर पेशेंट अगर उधर ये सोच के आया है, yes, so Jayakishan, you can try to see if it will increase. Yeah, so अगर पेशेंट ये सोच के आया है कि अरे यहाँ पे कंफर्ट के लिए आया हूँ, तो बोलेगा अरे डिलक्स वार्ड लिया है मैंने डिलक्स वार्ड लिया है, लेकिन यहाँ का एसी अच्छा काम नहीं कर रहा है, मुझे 16 डिग्री चाहिए, एकदम ठंडा चाहिए. So, but if you have come to the hospital for comforts, you might feel betrayed. But if you know that I have come to the hospital for cure, and if you are cured nicely, you will be happy. So this material world has been designed as a hospital, not as a clubhouse or a 5-star hotel. तो हम 5-star होटल का एक्सपेक्टेशन लेके आए हैं तो वी हैव कम टू द रॉन्ग प्लेस, और हम कुछ कर भी नहीं सकते बिकॉज वी डिडंट चूज, मतलब we have made the choice long back. We can't do anything about it. So what we can do now is to get cured, to focus on getting cured. तो यहाँ पे जो भी चाहिए हमको क्योर होने के लिए मटेरियल डिजीज से, the disease of lust, anger, envy, greed, pride, these are the diseases जिसका क्योर यहाँ मिलता है. यहाँ पे डॉक्टर मिलेगा आपको, वैद्य मिलेगा यानी गुरु मिलेगा, यहाँ पे आपको मेडिसिन मिलेगा यानी मंत्र मिलेगा, महामंत्र मिलेगा, अर्चा विग्रह सेवा मिलेगा. यहाँ पे आपको नर्सेज मिलेंगे जो आपको दवाई एडमिनिस्टर करेंगे यानी साधुस, द डिवोटीज हु हेल्प यू. एंड यहाँ पे दूसरे पेशेंट्स मिलेंगे जिनको देख के आप एनकरेज हो सकते हो, यार मुझे तो थोड़ी सी खांसी है, इसको तो टीबी है या इसको तो कैंसर है, ये भी क्योर हो सकता है, तो मैं क्यों नहीं हो सकता, right? So when we come to the hospital with the right perspective, we'll be happy seeing the results, and we will make use of the hospital's best facilities rather than crib about facilities which are not supposed to be there in the hospital, right? So मैं इकोनॉमी वार्ड में भी रहूंगा लेकिन मैं खुश रहूंगा क्योंकि मैं क्योर हो रहा हूँ, मेरे को I may not have so much of wealth, comforts, or excesses, but I'll be happy because I know the purpose of the place.
Wow, that's a beautiful perspective you've given, Prabhu. मतलब एक hospital की analogy where we are here to get treated, and I hope my voice is pretty clear now.
Yes, your voice is clear.
Yeah, thank you for that, Prabhu. But one
भी
side
but
of me,
मैं
one side of me is still here saying, so ठीक है, correct. Yes, we are here to get treated, but when we are getting treated, we meet so many nice patients here and so many good doctors here, and we feel यार ये doctors तो बुरे तो है नहीं, patients भी बुरे नहीं है, छोड़ो और कुछ साल यहीं पे रह लेते हैं, क्या हम यहीं पे नहीं रह सकते? Can death not be avoided? Can death be avoided? I'm sorry. Can death be avoided? There are so many researches, there are so many studies going on. I was reading a study recently where uh, one of the co-founders of Google, he made a claim that science and technology can enable humans to live up to 500 years. तो जब हॉस्पिटल इतना अच्छा है, हॉस्पिटल का खाना भी बुरा नहीं है, पेशेंट्स भी अच्छे हैं, डॉक्टर्स भी अच्छे हैं, क्या इस हॉस्पिटल में थोड़ा और टाइम गुजारा नहीं जा सकता? कैन डेथ बी अवॉइडेड, प्रभु? व्हाट इज योर टेक?
Okay, so और टाइम गुजार सकते हैं बिल्कुल, नो प्रॉब्लम. The sequoia trees in North America, in California, they are alive for 2000 years. So you can be alive for 2000 years. They are promising you only 500 years. 500 years is still an end. There is a full stop. There is a hard stop after that. चाहे 50 हो या 500 हो. Trees can live for 2000 years, but it is not the quantity of life, it is the quality of life which matters. We may or may not be able to add time to life, right? With more research, it may be possible that we may be vegetatively living for 200 years. वैसे लाइफ स्पैन रिड्यूस ही हो रहा है, हम जैसा देख रहे हैं, because of so many health complications, because of our lifestyle. लेकिन मान लो आपको ग्रेस मार्क्स देके मैं ये भी assume कर लूं कि the lifespan increases. So we may or may not be able to add time to our life, but are we adding life to the time which we are having, right? What is the difference? Adding time to life without adding life to time. What is the use? Think about it. If you even trees are living, even there are animals which live much longer in much difficult circumstances. But what is the quality of life? So it's not just the quantity of life, it is also the quality of life which matters. So first thing is, ask the scientists, are they adding quality to life? Are humans becoming more empathetic? Are humans becoming more grateful? Are humans becoming more cooperative? Are humans becoming more introspective? Right? If not, then what is the use of adding just a number to your life without adding life to the number of years? Right? So that's the first thing that we want to share here. And Nelson Mandela, when he was in jail for 28 years, I guess, when he came out of the jail, someone offered him a Bhagavad Gita. He said, I already was reading the Gita in the jail. And he said, okay, really? So what did you learn from the Gita? He said, I learned many things, but the most profound lesson I learned was that even if I got free from the jail without getting freed from the hatred and vengeance, the negativity, hatred, and anger towards my perpetrators, then I would still be bound. I would still not be free. So physically, I may be free. Physically, my lifespan may be increased, but internally, I'm still bound. Right? So that's not the idea. And then today's society is a place where death is something which is kind of considered a taboo word to talk about. कोई death का word ना है, शुभ शुभ बोल, ये क्या ऐसी बातें नहीं करने का. लेकिन युधिष्ठिर महाराज से यक्ष एक प्रश्न पूछते हैं कि what is the most surprising thing in this world? तो युधिष्ठिर महाराज क्या कहते हैं? That everyone dies in this world, everyone who has lived has died, but then those who are living think that they will never die. And there's an appointment with Mr. Death. And everyone is going to have this appointment with Mr. Death. Either today or tomorrow or this next year or after 10 years, after 20 years, after 100 years. But that appointment is fixed. So an appointment which everyone must take, it pays to be prepared. It pays to be aware that this is a reality of life. Jatasya hi dhruvam mrityu dhruvam janma mritasya cha, Krishna says that someone who has taken birth is bound to die. So, but today's society tries to sanitize death, tries to sweep the death under carpet, and tries to, seal the talk of death. But to the contrary, what Krishna does in the Gita, A Brahma Bhuna Loka Punar Avartino Jana Mam Upeti Tu Kaunteya Punar Janma Na Vidyate. That in this world, whether it is an ant which lives for a day or two, to Brahmaji who lives for 3 trillion years, there is beginning and end to everyone's life. Even Brahmaji who lives for 3 trillion years, he also has to die. Right? So when you know that is going to happen, then why not prepare for it? Why not talk about it, be aware, and live in a state of awareness and alertness, so that we make the best use of the time and add quality to life, add life to the time that we have. So that's the idea. And the question is कि भाई why death? आपने जब शुरू में पूछा कि अगर ये सब अच्छा ही है, हॉस्पिटल अच्छा है, लोग अच्छे हैं, पेशेंट भी अच्छे हैं, डॉक्टर भी ठीक है, तो why death? So अभी मैं हॉस्पिटल के एग्जांपल से आपको स्कूल का एग्जांपल दे देता हूँ. अगर स्कूल में if I am studying and I ask, ठीक है यार, बुक्स अच्छा है, टीचर्स अच्छे हैं, स्टूडेंट्स अच्छे हैं, why examination? ये एग्जाम की नाम की बला क्यों रखी है? So again, the designer knows better. So the class is good. Classroom आपको बहुत अच्छा लगा, आपने खिड़की वाला बेंच पकड़ लिया है, बस खिड़की पे बैठने का, थोड़ा बाहर देखने का, और टीचर का सुनने का, थोड़ा फ्रेंड से बात करने का, सब बढ़िया चल रहा है. But then the purpose of classroom is not to have good time in the class. The purpose of classroom is to learn. And then there's a higher knowledge. There's a next class which is waiting for you. So, so when we know that this is the examination is to help me elevate and graduate to the next level. So a devotee is not therefore afraid of death. A devotee welcomes death. That now is the examination, and after examination, I am excited to go to the next level and the next level. Right? So again, when we understand the design and the beauty of the design, we will be more appreciative of the designer. So yes, it's a classroom. Let's graduate. Let's go to the next level and go back to the spiritual world. So pass out from the school of hard knocks. This is a material world is a school, and it is a school of hard knocks. The material nature is giving us punches and knocks through adhidevik, adhyatmic, adhibhautik kleshas. But those knocks, if we take them in the right spirit, we will be able to graduate from the school of hard knocks, from the lockdown of this material world to the state of liberation. So that's my take on it, Prabhu. It's an exam, and be prepared.
Wow. Again, a wonderful analogy, Prabhu. And the school wala example जो आप बोल रहे थे, I could pretty much relate to it because I always felt कि exams school के मजे में बाधा ला रही है. So I always felt that. Thank you. That related quite nicely. Prabhu, you've heard about the Darwin's theory, which talks about evolution, the theory of evolution, and we being apes at one point of time, and we evolved to human beings. How true do you think that is? And if it does make sense to you, is there a better place you are going to after being humans? Is there any next destination? Are we going to evolve to to a better destination, to some better beings? What is your take on this, Prabhu?
Okay, so I think we should close now soon. So I'll just give a short answer to this question about this theory of evolution. So हमने जैसा चर्चा की कि आप ये क्लासरूम में जब in this classroom of this material world, the school of hard knocks, we pass on to the next level. तो कहीं पे शायद theory of evolution भी तो यही नहीं बोल रहा है कि we are evolving to higher and higher states. पहले we were single celled organisms. अभी देखो humans आ गए हैं, फिर humans से भी आगे super humans आ जाएंगे, हम interspace travel करेंगे. तो वो सारे promises जो हैं वो दिए हैं. But now there are two perspectives. Looking at Darwin's theory from a material perspective and a spiritual perspective. From a material perspective, the Darwin theory doesn't stand the test of scrutiny. Because the Darwin's theory is based on certain assumptions. One assumption is that all the is based on embryology. Embryology मतलब जितने भी embryos हैं, चाहे वो fish का embryo हो, embryo मतलब जो भ्रूण होता है, जब just the sperm, it is of जो चाहे वो fish का है, चाहे वो human का है, चाहे वो bird का ये है, मतलब it has the similar embryo or similar, it just gradually as the embryo grows it becomes more complex. तो उसका एक assumption ये है. But recent developments now this theory of common similar embryos across different species was a theory floated in the time of Darwin. But now that theory has been proved to be false. Even at the embryonic stage, all different species are completely different, very different from each other. Then even if you talk about कि चलो पहले कुछ primitive species थे, now evolved species are. Now archaeologists ने क्या पता किया है कि when you go dig down deep into the earth's crust, at any given level inside the earth's surface you will find the fossils of all different species. ऐसा नहीं है कि अरे हमने 3 किलोमीटर नीचे हमें निएंडरथल मिल रहा था, फिर रामापिथेकस मिलने लगा, फिर उसके ऊपर आए तो फिर मंकीज मिल रहे थे, उसके बाद में चिंपैंजीज, ओरंगुटन्स, उसके बाद में अब भी यहाँ से हमको ह्यूमंस मिलने चालू हुए. तो ऐसा बिल्कुल नहीं है. At any depth you go, you will find fossils of all different animals. तो ये which shows that these animals always coexisted at all points of time. in antiquity. तो एक और जो assumption था वो disprove हो गया. Then उनका एक theory of natural selection है कि you know that जनरली जैसे वो जो पोलर बियर था वो स्विम करना चाहता था क्या क्या ताकि उसको मछली खाने मिले, क्योंकि पोलर बियर वहां पे मतलब स्नो कैप माउंटेन्स में उसको कुछ खाने नहीं मिल रहा था, तो वो स्विम करने गया तो उसको लगा यहाँ पे समुद्र में मछली मिल रहा है, तो वो स्विम करते करते फिर वेल बन गया, या मतलब वेल नहीं मतलब शार्क बन गया, जो भी वो ट्रांसफॉर्म हो गया. लेकिन this is so ridiculous because we have never seen such an example of one species transforming into another. ऐसा नहीं होता है कि हमने देखा कि बंदर पेड़ पे चल रहे थे और देखा कि आजकल पोल्यूशन की वजह से पेड़ों पे फल नहीं लग रहे हैं, तो चलो हम इवॉल्व होकर आदमी इंसान बन जाते हैं, राइट? We have never seen one species giving an offspring of another species. We have never seen one species transforming into another species. So from all the different angles, we see that the theory of evolution is simply, not making sense. It's not logical. Many scientists, thousands of scientists have signed, made like a consortium saying that we disbelieve in Darwin's theory. These are scientists. Now, this is a materialistic perspective. Now, I'll just briefly talk about the spiritual perspective. On the spiritual perspective, yes, Darwin's theory makes sense. You'll ask me why? How come आप लोग तो completely against होने चाहिए? नहीं. Darwin's theory में कुछ logic है, which is the evolution. When you see the different species, there is definitely evolution of, you will see plants, they have limited sense of, they have sense of light. सूर्य उगेगा तो फिर आपका जो कमल है वो खिल जाएगा, right? So they can perceive light, they can do photosynthesis, but they can't see, right? उससे evolved species जो होते हैं, they can also see, just like the reptiles. They can see. Plants को आप टच करोगे तो उनको शायद पता नहीं लगे, लेकिन उसमें से मेमोसा पुडिका है, उसको टच करोगे तो it becomes touch me not, right? So they have a little sensation of touch. But as you grow further, there is more and more evolved sense of touch, sense of taste, sense of smell, sense of hearing, right? And then उसके बाद में emotions भी develop होते हैं. कुछ species को emotions कम रहते हैं और evolved species को emotions ज़्यादा होते हैं. And then you come to the human species, which has the most evolved faculties of touch, taste, smell, etc. It has most evolved emotions, it has most evolved ethics from other species, and then basically the potential of evolved ethics, and also the potential of questioning of the purpose of existence. So iske liye, you see there's definitely an evolution, but this is an evolution not of the body, but an evolution of consciousness. That living entities who are more evolved in their consciousness, they are given a particular body, and the human form of life is the springboard, जहां से आप एकदम ऊपर जा सकते हो और जहां से आप एकदम नीचे जा सकते हो. जैसे सांप सीढ़ी होता है ना, सांप सीढ़ी में आप एक एक करके ऊपर आ रहे हो, 99 पे पहुंचे अगर वहां पे सांप है, तो वापस आप नीचे 4 पे पहुंच जाओगे. देखा है ना सांप सीढ़ी? You reach 99, you come back to 4. So human form of life is the springboard जिससे we can use it to go high or to go low. Once you go low, तो फिर आपको एक एक करके 4 से 5, 5 से 6, 6 से 7 हर स्पीशी को फॉलो करते हुए आगे जाना पड़ेगा. And then after 84 lakh species, you get the human body. So human body is a very precious gift of God, which has the most evolved capabilities for evolved ethics, for evolved emotions, and for evolved intelligence. And all of these ethics, emotions, intelligence are all meant for us to inquire about the absolute truth and purify our consciousness. But if we don't do so and act the way animals are acting, if we are not driven by um, our evolved sense of emotions in terms of empathy, if we don't act by ethics, and if we don't act based on spiritual inquiry, then we will be driven by biology like animals. And then again, subsidy, back to square one. So that's the take on evolution. Yes, there is evolution, but not evolution of bodies, but evolution of consciousness. As any living entity's consciousness evolves, it gets a higher species. And ultimately, human form of life is the springboard to actually perfect one's existence.
Thank you for that understanding, Prabhu. Prabhu, my questions have been put to rest for today, beautifully answered by you. If you have the time and if you're comfortable, you may feel free to pick one of the questions, maybe on Facebook Live or from the Facebook platform or the chat box that we have on Zoom.
ऐसे कैसे छोड़ेंगे? आज पहली बार थोड़ा कुछ दिनों बाद क्वेश्चंस दिए हैं, so now our audience is always kind to ask questions, and but sometimes when we exceed time we can't take, but today definitely we can take questions. So Surya Dhaksha Prabhu has asked a question, Harshita Mataji has asked a question, then previously Mansi had asked a question. So let's start with Mansi's question. So she's asking, like, if in this life we improved a bit, we increased our spiritual points, so we born again, what is the guarantee that we will increase our spiritual points further in the next life and go back? Okay. Are you not confident about yourself? It is you only who are going to go to the next life. Right? Mansi, you आप ही है, और कोई और नहीं है कि जो आपको पता नहीं है कि कैसे बिहेव करेगा, कैसे कंडक्ट करेंगे. Right? It is you only who are going, and if you have this desire to evolve and transform your consciousness, definitely Krishna will give all the facilities. Krishna will give all the right kind of people, right association, right knowledge. So Krishna will fully facilitate from his end, and then you are going to be the same person. So now if you have made this choice to come to Krishna, you will start, Krishna says that someone who has a brashta yogi, a yogi who has not been able to perfect in the previous life, is given a suitable birth in a pious family where there is an environment, a culture of spiritual life, so that from childhood they pick up from where they left off. अगर आप 70% तक लेके आए थे तो आप 71% से चालू करोगे. So that facility will be given, and then ये passive game थोड़ी ना है. कृष्ण ऐसे छोड़े ना छोड़ेंगे. Even if you in the next life tell कि नहीं मेरा interest नहीं, Krishna is not going to leave you, because you can just you can just get into the gang of Krishna. एक बार कोई gang का part हो जाता है, so you can't get out of it. You are there for good. So once you are part of Krishna's gang, Krishna will do everything to hold you back with him and take you further ahead. So rest assured, Krishna will make it happen. Mansi, are you happy? Okay, thank you for this wonderful question. And then next question, Surya Daksha Prabhu, how and best way to prepare for death during our youth when we cross 50 years of age? Okay, so how best to prepare for death at youth, or when we are at 50 or whatever age that we are? The answer is by not saying tomorrow, not saying later. So the mind is such that it will always give excuses. Sometimes people give excuse that I am too young. Someone gives an excuse, I am too old. I have no energy to do this. And in between, people will say, I am too busy. Right? So there are excuses at all levels of the spectrum. Matlab, someone who is young, he says, I am too young for it. Someone is too old, he says, I am too old for it. I'll try next time. And someone who is in between, he says, I am too busy for it. So how best to prepare is not postpone it. Wherever we are, whatever we are doing, add more and more Krishna consciousness, more and more, spiritual activities such as hearing, chanting, associating with devotees, and rest. Definitely, Krishna is there with us. Okay, so shall we shall move to the question of Harshita Mataji. People say there is only one life given by God Himself. Why not enjoy and live life at the most? Okay, I think we discussed it in a previous session. You only live once करके हमने इसके पर
Yes.
चर्चा किया था. We had discussed that people say that there is this one life. किसने देखा है? Past किसने देखा है? Future किसने देखा है? So even if you say that you only live once, what does that mean? Should I? So you can take the statement in two ways. Okay, I have only this one life. So how will you use it? Will you use it in a meaningful way, or will you use it in a meaningless way? So if you only live once, which means you are just a bag of chemicals. If you are just a bag of chemicals, then why bother about the family? Why bother about opposite sex? Why bother about taking in other chemicals such as intoxicants? आप भी chemical है, वो भी chemical है. There's no meaning to it, right? Why bother about politics and all of those things? So therefore, if we have got this one life, even in that case, one will try to use it in the most meaningful way, and meaning can only come from God, right? Because otherwise our life is just a combination of chemicals and there's no meaning. So even if we have just one life, let us give it to God. Let us offer it to Krishna. Okay, yeah, so to defend to friends, you only live once. What do you think, Jai Kishan bro? Let's take a poll from our audience. आप लोग क्या बोलेंगे? You can unmute yourself and say.
Definitely, Prabhu, it is better to utilize it in the most appropriate way as per the Shastras that is mentioned.
Yeah. And even if people want to be happy, so you look at the life of devotees, they eat nicely, they have the best kind of foodstuffs, so many different hundreds, thousands of different preparations they eat. They have good people as friends around them who are not selfish, who are selfless, who are loving, who are kind, who are caring. तो आप अच्छा खाना खाते हो, अच्छे लोगों के साथ रहते हो, आप अच्छे काम करते हो. If you have a spiritual perspective, so you are happy. You have the best of music, kirtan. You dance with joy. And sometimes people say, "Arey, Hare Krishna wale hamesha haste hi rehte hain." So even if you have to live once, live like a Hare Krishna. So Mataji, you can tell them that even if you live once, living the life of a devotee is the best, because this process is sukh sukham kartum avyadam, which we are going to discuss in the next chapter, the 9th chapter. That this process is blissful and joyful at every moment. Not that we will get that bliss and joy after going back to the spiritual world, but here and now we can experience the highest joy. So yeah, to show them by our acharan is one of the ways, definitely. Okay, if anyone wants to unmute themselves, say anything, leave any comments, remarks, suggestions, or questions, please do so before we close in.
Prabhu, just one thought that I want to share. When Harshita Mataji mentioned about defending it in front of our friends, it's so hard to defend the fact that uh, YOLO, not to go by this, but an intelligent person will always think, yes, there is enjoyment, but at what cost? When I was studying for my CA exams, yes, I could have partied, I could have enjoyed, I could have had the best food possible, but at what cost? If there is a higher purpose to pursue, an intelligent man will always prefer uh, delaying the enjoyment, delaying the instant gratification, delaying the lower enjoyments now for a better reward kept in future. So that is one thing the YOLO mindset stays away from.
Yeah, at what cost? Actually, it is self-destructive because वो उससे जो इंडिविजुअलिज्म आता है सोसाइटी में योलो माइंडसेट से कि मतलब आप मजा कर लो, but again at what cost to the family, at what cost to your friends. So then अगर only live once वाला concept हो, सब चोरी उचक्का करके beg, borrow or steal, but I will try to get the maximum resources to enjoy. So can you imagine what kind of mayhem and chaos we are going to cause in the society, right? If we live with this principle, even on the social functioning, it will not be a very presentable scene, right? Then go to the more meaningful aspects of life. Then why will someone sacrifice anything for anyone else? People will there will be no families, and which we are seeing today, and how people are suffering because we are not happy just because of the things. Our happiness comes from the people, but with this philosophy of you only live once, people use people and love things rather than loving people and using things. So therefore this philosophy is not practical. This philosophy is not logical, and also in terms of higher meaning, it is baseless. So these are some points, and then there can be more we all can think and share with Harshita Mataji in future. Okay, so Gopiji has one last question. Why foreigners are not allowed at Jagannath Puri? Okay, there are different reasons given by different people. One reason they tell is that some of these Udiya Pandas, they have got this secret information कि जगन्नाथ जी जो ये फॉरेनर भक्त हैं उनकी भक्ति से इतना ज्यादा अट्रैक्ट हो जाएंगे कि वे उनके साथ चले जाएंगे हमको छोड़ के. इसके लिए वो उनको अंदर नहीं आने देते. So there is there is a theory like this. And then otherwise, Jagannath Puri is we need to understand that any particular temple is like a family, or it's like someone's home. आप किसी के घर जाते हो तो आप ये नहीं पूछते हो कि अरे आपने ये कलर का टाइल्स क्यों लगाया है, आपने मार्बल क्यों लगाया, फ्लोर पे आपको ग्रेनाइट लगाना चाहिए था. So it's their house, the way they want. So a temple is where the Lord is worshipped, but then Lord has his family of the people who are worshipping him, and so we respect, okay, whatever conditions and rules that they have kept, respecting that, we worship the Lord. So even if Lord Jagannath is not accessible to the foreigners, but Lord Jagannath is accessible to everyone in Rath Yatra. right? And then it is said that even if you take darshan of the chakra, it is as good as taking darshan of Jagannath. So even the greatest devotees like Srila Haridas Thakur, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, they were Hindus in the sense that they followed the practices, but because they were associated in some sense with the Muslims, they were not allowed inside. But they were happy just taking darshan of. They respected the rules of the temple. Considered अरे भगवान की ये फैमिली है या भगवान का घर है, इसमें जो रूल्स है मैं फॉलो करूंगा. बट कृष्णा इज ऑलवेज एक्सेसिबल इन सम वे और द अदर, either Rath Yatra or the Chakra. And even if that not, and apart from these two, Lord Jagannath is accessible as Patit Pavan Jagannath. When you enter the temple of Jagannath, on the right side there is this deity of Patit Pavan Jagannath. उसके पीछे एक स्टोरी है. एक राजा था, आई थिंक हिज नेम इज रामचंद्र, किंग राम, उनका नाम राजा राम था. सो दिस किंग was governing Orissa, and he was attacked by the Mughal kings, by the Muslims, and somehow he fought valiantly, but he lost to the person who attacked. I am forgetting his name, some Khan. So he lost. So तो जो ये मुगल राजा था उसने बोला, देख, now I will make you my slave and I will convert you to Islam, and then I will completely loot the entire state of Orissa. लेकिन मैं ये सब नहीं करूंगा अगर मेरी तुम शर्त मानोगे. बोले क्या? मेरी बहन से तुम निकाह कर लो तो फिर मैं तुम्हें छोड़ दूंगा. So you marry my wife, marry my sister. So he said, and then I will leave you. But he knew अगर मैं एक मुसलमान से शादी कर लिया तो I will never be able to enter Jagannath temple again. वापस मुझे अलाउ नहीं करेंगे. वो राजा है पर वहां के नियम इतने स्ट्रिक्ट थे इवन 200 साल पहले कि राजा भी अगर दूसरा धर्म में गया तो फिर उसको वापस नहीं लेंगे. तो उसने बोला नहीं, मुझे मंजूर नहीं है. तो फिर जगन्नाथ जी उसके ड्रीम में है. बोले कर ले, निकाह कर ले, बाकी मैं संभालूंगा. सो देन ही गॉट मैरिड टू द सिस्टर ऑफ दिस मुगल किंग. और इस मुगल किंग ने ऐसा क्यों करवाया? क्योंकि उसको खबर थी कि जगन्नाथ जी के पास के तिजोरी में बहुत देयर इज गोल्ड, टन्स ऑफ गोल्ड एंड टन्स ऑफ वैल्यूएबल ज्वेल्स. तो उसको लगा कि मेरी बहन को अंदर पहुंचा के मैं अपना ये सब वेल्थ निकलवा लूंगा. सो दैट वाज हिज माइंडसेट. लेकिन दिस किंग गॉट मैरिड एंड आफ्टर दैट हिज सिस्टर आल्सो बिकेम अ डिवोटी ऑफ जगन्नाथ जी. लेकिन इस किंग को फिर अंदर जाने नहीं दिया जाता था जगन्नाथ जी का दर्शन लेने. लेकिन वो जाके भगवान के द्वार पे, सिंह द्वार पे, वहां जाके रोता था राजा कि ये भगवान मुझे आपका दर्शन नहीं मिल रहा है. And when he would cry in the evening, every evening, Jagannath ji would leave the altar, come running outside and give him darshan. And the pujaris would think, kahan gaye ye? Jagannath ji kahan gaye? And then they came to know Jagannath ji comes every evening to give darshan to this king who is now so-called converted. तो ऐसा करते रहे 7 दिन हो गया. उसके बाद पुजारीज ने बोला भगवान को, भगवान आप ऐसे रोज रोज बाहर भागोगे तो कैसा चलेगा? So then Jagannath ji said, okay, I will expand myself as Patit Pavan Jagannath, and at the entrance of the temple there is a deity of Patit Pavan Jagannath. So anyone who takes darshan of Patit Pavan Jagannath is actually taking my darshan. So in that sense, Jagannath is accessible to even foreigners through Patit Pavan Jagannath.
Wow.
Thank you for bringing us to Jagannath Puri. Okay, I think it's time to close. Time to say adieu, goodbye, and Hare Krishna. So we'll see you all again next week. Yes, Jai Kishan Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Thank you all our attendees. See you all for the next session next week. Till then, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Srila
Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Thank you so much for wonderful class, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.